What's up, everybody? I'm Ivan Vargas. Welcome to the Victory Show on Sports Zone Chicago. Just a little show after every Bears victory. I like to do just giving my final thoughts, my opinions on the win, and where the Bears go from here. Apparently, it's a very happy time up at Hallis Hall with the win against the Detroit Lions after snapping a 5-game winning streak. And I had mentioned this before on Sean and Maya in the morning. And before I get started, go ahead and download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps from: Google Play, Amazon, and the iTunes Store. Make sure you download, go ahead and like Sean and Maya in the morning, as well as the Sports Zone Chicago Facebook pages. And go check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page, Sean and Maya in the morning, and Sports Zone Chicago. Also, check me out, Ivan Vargas. You can go ahead and subscribe to my page as well. Vernon and I will be getting to that. Ain't no victory till Nagy's gone. And look, I would say you were wrong if you were wrong, but you ain't wrong about that, Vernon. And to be honest with you, like I said, they're gonna spin it again once more, that they're on the right path, that they're close, that this 5-game winning streak was just a blip on the radar, and we're going to figure it all out. We've solved problems that have been plaguing this team for over 3 years, and it's just not the case. And I have a little bit of what Matt Nagy was talking about in his press conference right after the game on Thursday, and I also have a little bit of what he said on Friday, talking about how the team rallied around him and such, and just a spin doctor-ish type of moves in order to get, in order to pull the wool over the fan base's eyes. And it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Your team failed to score 20 points yet again on Thursday, and Detroit fought, like I had said that they were going to fight, but they're still Detroit. Detroited themselves. Like, look how many penalties the Detroit Lions had, self-imploding drives that were promising, self-imploding drives that were in Bears territory. So, it's a victory, but it's not very, I'm not very happy about it. It's nothing to really be truly proud. It's almost as if, man, by the skin of their teeth again, it's almost as if, really, like, that's the best you can do against Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, when your head coach is threatening to be fired by sources unknown. He talked about, and like I said, I'm going to play. He mentions how the team rallied. He mentions how the guys felt in the locker room, and how he spoke with them, and how George spoke to the team and stuff like that. And, in a matter of 4 days after an ugly loss to a hobbled Baltimore Ravens team, and I mean hobbled, you'll hear Matt Nagy, and like I said, I'm going to play the audio. You'll hear Matt Nagy try to spin this 5-game losing streak as a positive with this win against Detroit. And you don't see it. I don't see it. Don't fall for the BS. It's another spin move by the Chicago Bears, another spin move by Matt Nagy, trying to sell you on just sell you on him, just trying to survive yet another year, maybe get to 500. Maybe they scrape themselves up, scrape their way, to 500. Let's go ahead and take a look at the remaining games. You got the Cardinals this week, and then I believe you have the Green Bay Packers. Then you have the Minnesota Vikings. See, this is where the schedule gets a little, favorable for the Chicago Bears, although you have to play the Vikings twice, and they're a very tough team. But you know how divisional games go. Both teams know each other. Maybe you get a split here. What you need is a sweep of the Minnesota Vikings, or else there's no playoffs, in my mind at least, on the horizon for you. But you have opportunities at Seattle to beat Seattle. You have an opportunity against the New York Giants at home to beat them. Are they going to try to sell it again? If they find a way to beat Minnesota at home after Green Bay, because I'm in my eyes, they lose to Arizona next week, they lose to Green Bay the week after. Maybe they beat Minnesota at home with the weather, the shitty field, lack of speed for the Vikings. The pass rush for the Bears is really good. Robert Quinn, 3.5 sacks last week against the Lions. The guy's been everywhere. He's been a monster. The Bears are one of the top pass rushing defenses in the league. But also, on the flip side, Minnesota is that as well. Minnesota is one of the top pass rushing defenses in the league. So you have two defenses. Well, I wouldn't say two. I think the Vikings defense is better than the Bears overall. But you have two pass rushes that could get to the quarterback. You have, you have an opportunity against Minnesota at home to maybe steal a victory. I'll say that. Maybe it's cold, maybe it's sloppy, maybe you steal a victory. So let's say they run off three, right? Vikings, Seahawks, Giants. Let's say they run off three in a row. They got to go up to Minneapolis at the end of the season to face the Vikings and possibly save their season if all goes well. If all goes well, and I mean you have other teams that need to lose. You have the Niners that need to lose. You have the Vikings still need to lose for you. It's not just you. You have the Vikings that need to lose as well. There's other factors that need to come into play in order to save this man's job, in order to save this team's playoffs hopes, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. Let's go ahead and play some of this tape, and I'll be stopping it periodically to go ahead and chime in because you have to stay. It's almost as if, and my wife was laughing at me because I'm over here listening to it, trying to get things ready, trying to pick out what I want to hear, pick out some substance throughout all the crapola that he's been giving us. So here's some stuff that I found. I'll be stopping it periodically, giving you my opinion on it. Here we go.
Does this win feel more like relief or is it joy?
No, it's just joy. You know what I mean? It's for us, this is the biggest part for me, and I'm not built this way about being selfish. This is about the team. This is selfless for them. You know, those guys are the ones out there practicing every single day trying to fight like hell to get a win. It's hard. You don't get half losses and half wins in this league. You either win or you lose. You know what I mean? We had two close ones the last 2 weeks. It's a big difference if you win those. We didn't, but we won today. So you can't take that away from those guys, you know? So there's a joy in that.
Again, you know, this joy that he has, is it just because you're able to save your ass for another week? Is this joy because you figured out how to score touchdowns on offense as opposed to settling for field goals or just having your quarterback throw interceptions in the end zone? Although Andy Dalton had a nice stat line, Andy Dalton almost threw 2 interceptions in the end zone. He probably should have thrown 2 interceptions in the end zone. And there also probably should have been a penalty. I believe it was on Jesse James or whoever was on defense after that second pass was thrown into the end zone. Almost got picked off by the cornerback, but I believe whoever the receiver was grabbed the helmet of the cornerback and just kind of shoved them down. I'm not sure if that's illegal or not, but it happened, and he was able to knock the ball away, but just a bad pass. You know, how are you happy for settling for mediocrity? How are you happy that your team wasn't able in back-to-back weeks against hobbled teams? And he mentions he'll later on mention the Baltimore Ravens and how, you know, good of a team they are. But that wasn't the Baltimore Ravens out on that football field last Sunday. That wasn't the Baltimore Ravens. That was not Lamar Jackson back there. You didn't have your number one receiver in Hollywood Brown. You don't have a workhorse back. You have a running back by committee going on there in Baltimore. You were able to get the job done on defense of all places because it was just a lack of execution, lack of creativity, a lack of understanding who you are and how you have to attack defenses. Yet another coaching staff outcoached you. In that 5-game losing streak, they've gotten outcoached in every single game. Every single game, including the ones they had the lead in. If you look at Detroit, you know, I don't think Dan Campbell is at fault here. It's a bad team. They've made mistakes. He made a mistake clearly yesterday with that bad timeout. But if you look at how they played this team, in it throughout. They were in it throughout. And even when they made mistakes, they made up for it. That fumble, that effort play, which you got to tip your cap to Travis Gibson. That effort play on the Robert Quinn sack to go ahead and punch out that football on Jared Goff and pick it up himself. That was huge. Huge momentum swing. Huge momentum swing. And what happened? What happened after that? You passed it 4 fucking times. You were successful on one of them, a big play to Cole Kmet, but you passed it 4 fucking times pretty much in the red zone. Never once threatening to run the football. Never once running the football. Isn't that your identity? Didn't you admit that this was your identity? I don't know how you're joyful about a win like this. You take the win. I say this, you take the win. You could be happy, I guess, about the win. But don't be joyful. Don't go jumping for the sky because you went ahead and escaped Detroit. Because that's really what you did. You really just escaped Detroit. If Detroit doesn't Detroit themselves, like Armando is saying here, you take an L. So jumping for joy, number one, is just complete BS, in my opinion.
Locker room, and they're allowed to have that. They're going to have a great Thanksgiving today because they earned it, and they fought like hell, and they told me what they were going to do, and they did it. How cool is that?
From an emotional standpoint in that regard, Matt, do you feel like the team rallied around you?
Yeah, I do. And again, and not just me. The other part of this too is, as Ryan and I do this thing together, they rallied around all of us. You know what I mean? And not just me, the coaches, because right, there's a lot of in the coaching world, you have assistant coaches, right? So we're all a part of this thing. And so their players are, we're all working together here, and I think that's what's impressive.
It wasn't about just what you saw, or could you feel it? I mean, from an
Both.
emotional standpoint.
Both. You felt it was easy to feel, and again, it's that's where in times like this, there's things that we have and that we keep from, that we just in different ways organically, whether it's an individual discussion or whether it's a group discussion. You work through these times, and that's why they're allowed to celebrate in our locker room right now. It feels pretty good.
Again, and then they're allowed to celebrate like the club dubbing. You know how I feel about club dub. Club dub after a win like this or an ugly. It just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look. It doesn't feel right, in my opinion, to celebrate. As a player, you knew, or at least I knew when I had a good game. I knew when I had a bad game. I know when the team played really shitty. You know that. To just forget about all that immediately after the game and not focus on, hey, man, all right, we need to go ahead and take this for what it is. We escaped. We had huge, major mistakes, especially you had defensive mistakes. You had offensive mistakes. Let's go ahead, get ready for Arizona and be ready to step up and prepare. Not go ahead and club dub after a 5-game losing streak. I get you're happy you snapped the streak, but this has been 3 years in a row where your team is for some reason supposed to be happy that they snap extended losing streaks. They're supposed to be happy that they have a losing record heading into December. They're supposed to be happy. This is what they're supposed to be happy about, because Matt Nagy can go in the locker room and pat them on the ass and say, "Hey, man, good game, bro. Good game, bro. Let's go ahead and sing Kumbaya afterwards, and everything's all right." It stinks to me. You're trying to sell us snake oil yet again in yet another season after an ugly set of losses. It's bullshit.
Well, they always say they're going to win. You know what I mean? They always say they're going to win, and that's what we.
And then right here, they always say they're going to win. So how do them telling you that they're going to win at the beginning of Detroit even fucking matter to them caring about if they win or lose for you? Isn't that just a contradiction? They say it every week. So what? It doesn't really mean shit what I just said at the beginning of the press conference. They say it every week. So what the hell does it mean when they say it this week? Come on now.
But I think more than anything, without getting into major detail, there was a lot of love and support, which again I appreciate.
Last one. With 6 games left, what is your understanding of where your job status is with your career?
Again, for me, there's only my understanding, which is what it's been since the day I signed up to be this coach, is to win as many games as I can possibly win and do it the right way. And, you know, when you lose 5 games in a row, you understand. And when you're 3-7, you know what territory it can get to. You know what I mean? And
What would you say you do here?
I knew that 4 years ago when I took this. And so here we are. Every week is a little bit different. This one was definitely different. But this is one of those weeks where
It's not different, though. It's
use it.
not different. And I'll tell you why it's not different. It's because you have consistency of inconsistency amongst your offense, amongst your team, for that matter. And like looking at the penalties, I know Detroit had a lot of penalties last week. I know we'll talk about the Pittsburgh game. I have an asterisk next to the Pittsburgh game, but let's go look at the penalties week by week. Week 1, 3 penalties, 35 yards. Week 2, 8 for 70. Week 3, 5 for 49. Week 4, 7 for 61. Week 5, 8 for 70. Week 6, 7 for 54. Week 7, 4 for 32. Week 8, 4 for 30. Then you get the Week 9, the Big 12 for 115. Although it was a shitty refereeing crew, there are still penalties on the Chicago Bears that you can't take away from them, that they have to own, period. So Week 9, 12 for 115. Then you have Week 11, 6 for 58. Week 5, 5 for 50. That's just too many times where you have over 50 yards in penalties. Too many penalties, period. Shit. The beginning of the year, 8 penalties, 7, 8, 70 yards, 80 yards. Like this is just too much. Undisciplined. You're 16th in penalties, 29th in penalty yards given up. You have 69 penalties, 119 yards given up. Too much. You're towards the bottom of the league. You're not a disciplined team whatsoever. That plays into it.
Moving forward, and you don't make any predictions, but what you do is you use it when you go home on that plane tonight and everyone's having a good time because they're able to celebrate and have fun watching the tape and enjoy their Thanksgiving and get back to being healthy and understand what games are next. But the only game that matters is Arizona coming up. That's it.
Sorry about that. Just did it freeze up? All right. Well, looking at 2018, like I said, you're going to take away 2018 because I want to go back to what Matt Nagy wasn't doing. Take away 2018, and I'm going to read off 2018. You have 23 games where you're plus 20 points. Where your offense or your team. I didn't go ahead and take the offensive touchdowns and defensive touchdowns. I really just took away 2018 because I don't remember many defensive touchdowns after 2018, and you had 6 defensive touchdowns back then. You had 36 turnovers as a defense in 2018, 6 touchdowns, 36 points off defense. But reading off this is just 2019 through 2021 up to this point. Your 23 games plus 23 games you had plus 20 points. 21 games you have minus 20 points. That's 47%. 47% of the time, your offense can't score over 20 points. So, adding in, if you add in, the miracle 2018 season, you had 14 games plus 20, 4 games under 20. A lot of that we know was set up by the defense. 36 turnovers. 36 turnovers. 36 turnovers. That's your offense benefited greatly. They made up pretty much half the field, I would assume. Not all the time, but I'm pretty sure you had a few run backs, got you maybe 20, 30 yards at a time. You had, like I said, you had a couple of touchdowns run back. But tell me that doesn't set up your offense in prime position, even with Mitch. Even with Mitch and an offense that defenses haven't been accustomed to, you catch people off guard like that. So that's why I took it away. But if you want to know the percentage, it's 38% with those 14 games or those 18 games in 2018. Look at the last 3 years. Like let's like I said, you had a fantastic defense in 2018. Don't look at that. Look at the 23 games, the 44 games after that. Look at the 44 games after that 2018 season. Half the time they don't score over 20 points. It doesn't get the job done. It doesn't get the job done. And not to mention Cairo Santos missing another field goal this past week. I don't like to see that. I don't like to see that. He had a nice little streak going. When your offense can't score points, and I don't like field goals whatsoever, but when your offense can't move the football, you can't just miss field goals and just take it as nothing. This is serious territory when you're missing field goals now, because your offense can't move the football. Where are you going to get points from? Where are you going to get points from? And I hate settling for fucking field goals. I hate it. Mediocrity plagues this team. This guy is the definition of mediocrity and settling for less.
So again, for me, the only thing I can say to those players is that I appreciate them, and we got a hell of a group of guys, players and coaches, and they showed it today by getting the win.
Thank you.
Since you've been here and even before that with Ryan.
This is the Friday. This is real quick. This is Friday. Like I said, I got a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about these clips, these couple of questions, because I just feel we hear Matt Nagy and we hear him talk about nothing half the time. Sometimes he says something, but majority of the time you have to listen to him to hear his contradictions, to hear his bullshit. You have to really comb through it to hear his contradictions. So that's why I'm playing it right now. That's why I'm stopping it in between, to let you know how I feel and to decipher the riddle that is Matt Nagy.
The guys he's bringing into this team, the professionalism, understanding that you're still 4-7 team. Yep. In what ways did the makeup of the roster help you get through the last few days?
It's helped a lot, and I think you make a good point. Ryan and I, as you construct this roster and as you work together to make decisions, that part is it's key. And some people say, well, you talk about the culture and it doesn't matter, it doesn't help you win, but it does certainly help in times like what we've gone through, and not just this year, but anytime you lose in general.
He means the past 3 years, not just this year, the past 3 years. It's good to have quality people around you, and I get it. I understand what he's saying. But Matt, how many times are you going to sell us on this? How many times?
You want people that are going to support each other, and I think it's safe to say the last several days have been a higher level of distractions. And so when you have people that trust each other and believe in one another, it starts with the relationship that Ryan and I have, and then what we've done. Now, you want to have that, but you also want to have great players too, and that's where we feel like we have that. And yesterday showed that to who they are as players, and that's why it made us proud for that. And again, to win 4-7 and how we did, it doesn't matter. We want to get the win, and to be able to break that 5-game losing streak. Pretty good Ravens team, pretty good.
No, man. This is what I was talking about. He goes, pretty good Ravens team, pretty good Pittsburgh team. You had issues with your play calling. You had issues with with penalties that you didn't address. You wanted to go ahead and just be the good soldier, toe the line, and not speak up. It's something to say when you want to go ahead and say it's a great Ravens. No, it's a great Ravens coaching staff that was on that sideline. The team was in shambles. Who was their cornerback? They beat Westery constantly in that game. They didn't attack him. They didn't go back to him. They went back to him maybe once. The Godwin touchdown, they went back to him. But he was a liability throughout the Miami game, throughout the most of the Bears game, even though they couldn't connect. Who's their quarterback? Name the quarterback. I know the quarterback. I know Diet Lamar, Tyler Huntley. Do you even remember the quarterback's name, Matt? The Ravens were not a good ball club on that Sunday. Sorry to say. They were not. The Niners were beat up. The Niners were hurting on offense. And you kind of just trampolining off the win against you, off the comeback win against you. They started picking up their act. Pittsburgh escapes. You don't speak up for your team. You don't. It's the same type of BS he keeps regurgitating week in and week out, trying to convince you that everything's all right. There's the building isn't burning down. No, I'm not being fired. None of that is real. None of that is true. We just let it slide off our shoulders and keep on trucking. You got guys like Jalen Johnson saying that they're done with the rah-rah speeches. I just feel like you're still rah-rahing the shit. Rah-rahing, if that's what you want to say to it. But it's just him trying to save face constantly just doesn't help. Just tell the truth. Your team is a bad team. We need to go ahead and really focus on Arizona, or else we're going to get beat badly. Arizona's a really good football team. Arizona could put up 50 points against this Bears team. I believe it. They got the defense to do it. They got the pass rush to do it. They got guys in that secondary that could create turnovers. Arizona could whoop their ass. I don't know what we're doing. Still looking back at, man, those are great tries against the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are great tries, really close games. Stop settling for this shit.
7-3. It took a 66-yard field goal to win the game, and Minnesota same thing, and Pittsburgh in overtime, and Cleveland by 3. So that Detroit team is I know they haven't won, but they fight hard, and they made it very difficult.
Man, on the day, the ground game wasn't as effective as it's been. As effective as it was the last time you played the Lions. What did you see on the tape that told you there was a problem there?
Yeah, I thought out there practicing every single day.
Shit.
People that.
Sorry about that. For context, and I want to go back to that running game question. David Montgomery, up to that point where they got the fumble, he had 5 carries. Khalil Herbert had 1 carry. So 6 carries altogether as a team rushing for the Chicago Bears. And I'm sorry, I don't know where that question Hub asked was. But they didn't run the ball in the first half whatsoever. He says that it was Detroit's scheme. They planned for that defensively and that they had to combat it with the passing game. And I understand that, but Coach, there's situations where you need to run the football, particularly in the red zone when you have the momentum. You have a bull in David Montgomery who's good going down. Get him going downhill. You're in the big turnover. Huge momentum swing in the game. You want to pass it 4 times in a row. They were ready for it. They end up with an interception in the end zone. You come up with no points, leaving more points on the football field. So, he didn't run the football with David Montgomery until later on in the game. And even then, I feel like it was just somewhat of a explosion, a cluster of carries just to give him carries. It was just giving him carries just to say you gave him carries and get up past 15 carries as a team. There weren't significant carries. There weren't significant rushes. He had big running gains in the game. I think the longest was like maybe 12. But you didn't really commit to it. You went away from your identity that you claim to have found against Detroit. So you're telling me a defense that just got off the field wouldn't be exhausted? Wouldn't be pissed off having to go ahead and get David Montgomery slammed in their mouth every single time? Pause. It is what it is, man. Like you don't You say one thing and you do another, and it's just I had enough of it. Let's be real about it.
We've done. Now you want to have that, but you also want to have great players too, and that's where we feel like we have that. And yesterday showed that to who they are as players. Be able to break that 5-game losing streak, pretty good. And Cleveland by 3. So that Detroit team is. I know they haven't won, but they fight. They fight hard, and
the running question by Hub is coming up.
And on the day, the ground game wasn't as effective as it's been. As effective as it was the last time you played the Lions. What'd you see on the tape that told you there was a problem there?
Yeah, I thought I agree with you on that, and I think that there were some things that they did early on where they were going to try to take away the run game and stuff. You know, still be able to try to play cover 2 on the back end and still add some guys.
Still no excuse for under 10 carries as a team. Not just 10 carries to David Montgomery. No excuse for under 10 carries as a football team, as a running football team, like you so admittedly said, right? And I think it's more reluctantly said because he was caught with egg on his face yet again. When you see how well the running running the rock works, you had Khalil Herbert picking up where David Montgomery left off for a few weeks in the season. Now you get David back, and it's like you don't know what the fuck to do with him again. Frustrating.
And create a 7-man box and try to stuff the run that way. And I thought we did a good job of counterattacking that through the pass game. You know, we were able to get that going and get some chunks. You saw the 2-play drive for a touchdown pass for however many yards that was. And but you got to still stay honest and stay persistent with the run. And so we had some. I think we had one 12-yard run. Other than that, we didn't have many more. We had 7 or 8 explosive.
Because you stopped going to it. You stopped going to it. You went. You had a big couple gains with the run in the first drive, in your first drive, and then you stopped fucking going to it. 6 carries isn't continuing to go to it. 4 in a row. Like I said, 4 in a row. When you're in the red zone, end up with an interception in the end zone. Come on now. Don't try to bullshit us. Don't tell us this. This is what Matt Nagy's saying is just to appease fans and say that, hey, oh yeah, we tried to do it. Detroit just had some fantastic game plan where they were going to just stop the run consistently, even though they're giving up over 120 yards a game. Stop. Admit it. You gave up on it. You saw the big chunk yardage through the air. Your eyes got big, and that's what you wanted to attack. That's how you wanted to do it. You didn't want to give the ball to David Montgomery today. You wanted to pass the ball 500 times to save your fucking job. And even though you didn't do that, even though it was only 300, and Andy Dalton, like I said, nice stat line from Andy, but you only had 16 points to show for it. What the fuck does 300 yards mean when you only put up 16 points? What does it mean? The Detroit Lions were allowing over 120 yards a game at the bottom of the league. Similar to yourself. Run the ball. Don't make excuses. Run the ball. You didn't commit to it like you did, and you just allowed Andy Dalton to sit back there and airmail it all over the place. And it worked. He had big chunk yardage. Like I said, there was big plays. But when it mattered, you couldn't get the first down. You couldn't pick up a first down. When it mattered, you couldn't get the ball in the end zone. You can't do this to other teams. We've seen what happens when you do this shit with other teams. You lose. Not everybody is Detroit.
Passes, which was good. It was just one of those days. We would have loved to be able to, maybe get the run game going a little bit more for the averages that we had. But we can't get away from that. We can't. I mean, you got to credit Detroit. They did a good job.
Man, we were talking in here the other day. You made a comment, I don't know if it was just a slip, you said running this offense for 10 years. Do you consider this still Andy Reid's offense, or is this your version of Andy Reid's offense?
Well, I think it's a great question, but there's concepts within this offense that there's a lot of concepts within this offense in the pass game that is a part of that. And when you say, Coach Reid's offense, probably if you'd ask them from the years that I have not been there, their offense has changed a lot too.
I'll tell you what their offense isn't, right? I got scoring drives. On scoring drives, the percentage on scoring drives Bears are scoring at 29% of their drives. 29%. 12% of those of the time, they're turning the ball over. They have 15 turnovers so far this season. That's 20th in the league. They're 26th in scoring percentage at 29.7, and 20th in turnover percent and drives ending in a turnover, 12.6. Yeah, I'm sure this is exactly how Andy Reid likes to run his offense. Andy Reid has his issues too with his offense. Andy Reid has his issues. But I'll tell you this, I'll trust Andy Reid. I'll trust Eric Bieniemy right now more than I'll ever trust that you could get a competent offense on this football field. Ever.
You know, offenses do evolve. They change for different reasons, whether it's the pass game or the run game, based off of your players' strengths and weaknesses. And so there's a good mix. You know, I think for us being together for this being the fourth year, you would say that it's certainly different.
It's different. It's still not scoring fucking points
Than 2018 and even 19, you know? So as you kind of grow through who your players are and what they do well and don't do well, or you need to get better at, you can change some things and adapt. And we're always doing it. Every team is doing that, trying to fit and see what their identity is each year.
Last night, you answered, most of the questions you answered after the game was about all this. Do you imagine that put this issue behind you completely? Do your players, I mean, you just mentioned it's probably going to continue.
Yeah.
Is there anything you learned from the last 72 hours that
Yeah.
helped with that?
No, I just think the biggest thing that we learned together in this building is knowing that, yeah, that comes with the territory, and they are distractions. Like I said yesterday, how do you handle those distractions? There's a right and wrong way to handle them. The wrong way is you let it affect you. We didn't do that, and we haven't, and we won't. We also, you stay ahead of it by knowing, like I just said, like not just us, but other players. There's going to be more distractions. That's just natural. But when you know the truth, it makes it a lot easier. And I think our communication in this building, including George.
So when you know the truth, you know the truth. You as fans know the truth. I know the truth. Exactly, Tyler. Clown. When you know the truth, that's just, what a slap in the face to Bears fans. Like it's a constant slap in the face. Every time he takes the podium, every time you hear him talk and downplay what's been going on at Hallis Hall, it's just a slap in the face. Just a slap in the face. Like we haven't been living here the past however long generations. Like we haven't watched this team for over 20, 30 years post Ditka, and watch how much they sucked. Watch how many, wondering who's going to be the quarterback this year and who's his backup. Wondering, is this offense going to be able to score a touchdown? Do the Bears defense have to score a touchdown on interception? How many turnovers do the Bears need to force in order to stay in this ball game? Because the offense is absolute trash. It's like he thinks you're blind. He thinks you're dumb. They think you're dumb as fans. They think you and I are just stupid sheep that don't see the bullshit that they're spitting at us. That's what they think. You're 47% of the time, Matt. You're just 2 games above 500, scoring over 20 points as an offense. Give me a break. Give me something real. Own up to that. It's stop bringing the players in, because he's like bringing the players in like it's like bringing up the kids, right? It's like you're using the kids as protection. You're bringing up the players. You're using the kids as protection against the other spouse. That's what you're doing right now. He's bringing up the players and how well the players fought and how good they've been doing, how hard they worked, in order to hurt the fans. Like, oh man, you guys are wrong. The players are giving their hardest. They're playing their hearts out. They're playing their hearts out. He's trying to use the players against us. Dirty, dirty tricks. I don't want I don't want to continue down this route next season thinking about why we need to give him another chance. If they're not going to fire him in season, it looks like they're not. Clear as day, it looks like they're not. Why give him another chance? Like I said, you have to go out and beat Minnesota twice. You got to go out and beat Seattle at Seattle. You got the Giants at home. So you have an opportunity after, I want to say, like I said, after Arizona and Green Bay, because I don't think you're getting out of those. First of all, you're not escaping Soldier Field with a win against Arizona, and I don't think you're going to go up to Green Bay and upset them. Vikings at home, maybe. Vikings at home, maybe. You're familiar with Kirk Cousins. You have a good pass rush, maybe. But they could just run the football on you and beat you with play action over the top with Justin Jefferson. Then what the hell are you going to do? Because your defense can't get off the football field as well. And I know the defense is not Matt Nagy's MO. That's on Sean Desai's end. But you're the head coach. It all falls on you. So your defense now, the defense that you leaned on so heavily, is now in shambles. You got young cornerbacks, and maybe just the talent is lacking at those positions as well. Getting constantly beat. You got Arizona where that could just air it out on you. You got Green Bay. You know Devontae's waiting, chopping at the bit to get back at you guys again. Seattle, you got DK and Tyler Lockett. You got receivers coming up that are going to hurt you on defense. How are you going to save them? How are you going to save your defense? How is your offense, Matt Nagy, going to save your defense when it comes down to these next couple weeks? How is your offense going to put up enough points in order to keep your defense fresh enough to compete against these guys? You've seen in the past now 4 weeks now, how the secondary is giving up big play after big play. Right out the gate, Artie Burns, burnt, toasted, scorched. Right out the gate. So it's a lot. There's a lot of blame to go around. Matt Nagy's offense, it's the ineffectiveness affects the team so much more than just not being able to score points. Now your team can't stop anybody. Your team's exhausted. Your team's there is some truth to what was going on last week. There's got to be. There just is because you've heard guys this year, last year, you've heard guys that have left the team speak out against Matt Nagy, speak out against what's going on over there, vent their frustrations finally. You know, you got guys over there finally saying something like, don't come up like it's hard to go ahead and sell something again. It's hard to sell something again to a fan base that already is calling for your head. Already calling for your head. How is your offense going to help your defense? Can you keep your defense engaged? Can you keep those the players on your side? He says they're playing for him, that they're all in, that they all rallied around him. The troops rallied around Matt Nagy. I don't think I believe it. You're going into Arizona. Arizona is they're really good. Really good football team in Arizona. They are 9-2 under Cliff Kingsbury. And if you look at Cliff Kingsbury, was he not? Let's see. Yeah, this is his first or second go around. This is his first coaching gig in Arizona. Cliff Kingsbury is doing with an offense, with his offense, what you want to do with your offense. Okay, 3 years with Arizona. Excuse me, 3 years. 5-10, 8-8. You knew where Arizona was. They didn't have a good team whatsoever. Now he's got his team at 9-2. Now you got a guy who came in a year after you that your team has to prepare for, who I think is going to outcoach you. Everybody else has. Everybody else but Dan Campbell has outcoached you, and I like Dan Campbell. At least Dan Campbell makes me believe his players want to play for him. At least I believe and I've seen Dan Campbell's players fight to the end for his team. I've seen that. You witnessed it on Thursday. Mistakes, they've mistake ridden, but they had their shot and they were in that ball game the entire way. So you almost got coached by Dan Campbell. You're getting out coached by guys that weren't even head coaches when you started now. Like, and that, we haven't played the game. They haven't played the game. But when you look at this season, you look at last season, Bears finished 8. Well, where did the Bears finish? 8-8? 8-8. Arizona was 8-8. Now Arizona's 9-2, and you're 4-7, telling your fan base that a losing streak is a positive again. That the guys were not discouraged by losing 5 games in a row the way that they did. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. You're tired of it. I'm looking at Arizona as a loss, guys. I'm sorry to say it. I know I haven't gotten we haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm looking at it as a loss. I'm looking at the rest of the season. Let's see, 2 more losses. Let's say they beat Seattle and the New York Giants. I think they're going to lose twice to the Vikings. I'm sorry to say that. I just don't see this team beating Mike Zimmer. And again, another game where you're looking across the sidelines at a coach and you're like, man, we're going to get out coached again. Here it comes again. Here comes the paddle again, because we're going to get our asses whooped coaching wise. Here it comes again. I maybe Seattle, maybe the New York Giants. After that, I don't see a lot more wins on this on the slate for the Chicago Bears. They got the win. Are you happy? Ask yourself, are you happy? Are you happy with how this team performed? Are you happy at how this offense has performed? I'm not. You shouldn't be satisfied. The Bears shouldn't be satisfied. Hopefully, this is almost over for us. Hopefully, the shit show is coming to an end at season's end. And then we have to look for who. Who's the guy to get this shit going? Who's the guy to put this train back on the tracks? They need to go ahead and get out ahead of everybody else. Be first. Find somebody worth it. Find somebody not new, not gimmicky. Find as close as you can to a consistent as possible. A lot of people say Dave Toub. Why not? Why not Dave Toub? He was here. He's been to a Super Bowl with us. I would trust a Dave Toub putting guys coordinator-wise in position, quality coordinators in position to help the Bears out. Good coaches. I could see that from a guy like Dave Toub. He's been around the league long enough. He's got connections. People like him. You want another offensive guru? You want another guy, another flavor of the week? Or do we want somebody that's been in the league, who knows how to run an offense, who knows how to run a team, who knows how to command a locker room? And don't pigeonhole him. Don't pigeonhole him in press conferences. Don't talk about PR bullshit when he wants to talk about football. I go back to Bruce Arians. Save yourselves from yourselves. Find a president of football operations and leave it the fuck alone. Do not meddle. Your meddling has caused enough damage to this franchise. Guys, I'm Ivan Vargas. I'm going to be watching football throughout. I don't think I'm going to do a game today. Might be hanging out with friends, and got my baby boy, got my little girl, and my wife Emily. We're going to be hanging out today, probably drinking a couple beers. Like I said, I'm tired from this week. It's been a long one. Thanksgiving, calling 2 games in like 4 days. That's fun. I love calling the games for you guys. By the way, check out barely live every Bears game. I'll be calling play-by-play, giving you my reaction, what I think, my yelling, my screaming, my pain, my tears, along with you. Come out and check me out against the Cardinals next week. I'll be doing it, and then I'll be popping in. Thursdays are going to be a little less now, like I said, with the baby. Mondays might be a little less now, but I will be picking and choosing some big games to do. So you'll see me throughout the week. Like I said, check out Barely Live during the Bears game, live reaction, breakdown, talking shit, that good-ish. Until next time, guys, download the Sports Zone Chicago app. Like and subscribe Sports Zone on YouTube. I'm out.
What would you say you do here?